Greetings and welcome to gardening video number 2 for the year 2021. Kind of sharing what else I plan to grow and where I plan to grow it in the yard. There's one kind of seed that I'm not going to show because I don't have it in my plan to grow it this year, but I probably will next year. And that's, of course, if everything that I plan to grow works out. If it doesn't, then I'll throw those in the ground and see what happens. But that is a carnival pumpkin. Friend of mine gave it to me and I saved the seeds from it because they were kind of tiny instead of eating them, but I didn't have space in the plant. So first one to show you is canary melon. I got the seeds from a melon I bought at the grocery store. A neighbor of mine said that it works fine as long as the melons are grown here in the States, and my research said that that was true. So show you what they look like. They look like nice sized viable seeds for melon. So I'm going to plant them, see what happens. If they don't work, then like I said, I'll throw in a pumpkin or something. Next one is cantaloupe. I'm also going to put that up a trellis, and I saw a video online on how to support the melons once they get too big to be supported on the stems themselves. So that'll be fun to do as well, and hopefully actually get some fresh grown melon this year. I've never successfully grown them, but I really haven't tried either. But I know that they'll grow really well up a trellis. So I'm going to put in 2 new trellises this year for that exact purpose, back behind the shed. Got these in an online Facebook trade. They're these tiny little eggplants. Well, they were labeled as white eggplant, as you can see, and I believe they're the Raja or Raha type. They're like the size of an egg, literally. So, gonna make some fun recipes with that. Another kind of eggplant. It's a smaller, dark-skinned eggplant, possibly even purple. But they look really pretty, and I think this would be really good grilled, just sliced in half and dropped on the barbecue. Fairy tale eggplant. They're small, but they are really pretty and striped, and I just think that they will be fun to grow and obviously eat as well. So after seeing the plans for all my eggplant, my wife said, "Oh, you don't have any of the like regular big ones that we see at the grocery store?" So as I said in the last video, these are seeds that I got from the local St. Charles library, and you just go in and take what you need, up to 15 packets per visit. So I took a few, but as always, I did donate some when I went there, because I don't believe in just taking. I believe that we should all give back when we take something. So I did that. National pickling cucumbers. I love to make my own pickles. I think I still have about a dozen jars in the basement from last season, so hopefully that'll last me through to until I can get some new ones grown this summer. Since I also love pickles that are for salads or sliced just for eating in dips and whatnot, I'm also going to grow these ones because I love just a regular fresh cucumber as well. Popo squash. Just ignore the envelope, please. That's a big, long squash that grows on a trellis, and it apparently takes a ton of space when you grow it. And I'm planning to grow it up above my pergola on my patio. We'll see if the wife agrees, but that's the plan for right now anyway. Growing it in a bucket, that is, and then straight up a trellis. Sugar pie pumpkins. These are great to those tiny little ones that you see at the grocery store. Not the real, like, palm-sized ones, but, you know, the 1 or 2 pounders. They're great for making pie, obviously, or soup, or just baked mashed pumpkin. That's really, really tasty. And I wanted to grow some of those this year. I grew some last year, and that's where I got these seeds. So at this point, they're heirlooms, which is cool. Turban squash. Friend gave this to me, and I dried the seeds from it as well. I didn't eat this one this past year, but I plan to eat some this year because the meat inside was really firm and not stringy at all, which is exactly what you want out of a fresh squash. So I may eat it grilled. I may eat it again as a soup or something else, but plan to try some of these this year. Butternut squash. Close cousin to the butternut, but apparently this is a very rare version. You can see I got it from M.I. Gardener, and they're supposed to be smaller and sweeter than a butternut, and I love butternut, so I'm going to try this one as well. Going up a trellis also behind the shed this year. Spaghetti squash. If you've never tried it, it'll blow your mind once you open it up, because it literally looks like strands of spaghetti. So you can't mash it or bake it into a traditional pie or anything, but you can cook it up like you would any spaghetti noodle. You can make a spaghetti pie of sorts, or you can just toss it in olive oil with some herbs, and it is delicious that way. So that's actually how we like it, with some other veggies mixed in. But that'll also be fun. I haven't grown this in years, and so when I saw the seeds in the store, I had to pick up a pack. Burgess buttercup squash. Again, another big meaty squash that I plan to enjoy. Actually, I made some hot sauces out of some of these squashes last year as well. Last 2 years. And they were very tasty and surprised a lot of people who don't even like pumpkin. Just put in some fresh chilies, some onion, some garlic, and then a bunch of squash. And it turned out really good. Very thick, but very good. Traditional carving pumpkins. Some were from the backyard, and some were from a very large one that a friend gave us, because I wanted larger seeds. So, but that one was also from a local farm. So I know that they are heirloom there because they save their own seeds, and I plan to grow that in the backyard also. Yellow squash, very much like a zucchini, and these are just delicious grilled or baked in any way. A perfect side dish if you're having burgers or brats or whatever. Just awesome done up that way. Same thing, traditional zucchini, very tasty. If you don't watch them, they get the size of a baseball bat within a couple days. Like one day you'll see it and it's small and tiny like you see on the package here, and the next day it's literally bigger than your arm. It's pretty funny to watch it happen. Cinderella pumpkin. These are really, really pretty pumpkins. They're big and meaty as well, and a lot of people like to make candied pumpkin out of these, and just never grown them, so I wanted to try it. I got these seeds from a swap on Facebook, like I have so many others, and I'm gonna make space for that this year. Patty pan squash. Those are those little squat round squash that are about the size of a softball, or some are size of a baseball. Just a friend of mine grew them in his garden, and I plan to see if I can duplicate what he had. But mine are going to be on the side of the house and just grow on the ground. We'll see how it goes. It may take over half the yard, and if it does, so be it. I don't really care. I don't eat the grass, so I don't care if my plants grow over the grass this year. Taking kind of a different approach. Acorn squash, a very traditional common squash you see at the grocery store. These grew as volunteers in my yard. On one of my gardening videos last year, I thought I had 3 pumpkin plants. Turns out I had 3 acorn squash plants. None of them were terribly productive in the locations where I had them, but they bushed out very nicely, and I did get several fruits. Just they weren't as productive as they could have been. So I want to make them more productive this year. They grew as volunteers because I threw an acorn squash into the compost heap, and then when I spread that, they just started popping up everywhere. Because that's what they do. butternut squash. These were seeds that I got from a butternut squash that I got from a friend's garden, and I saved some of the seeds and dried them out, and hopefully they will grow for me as well as I grew for him. Well, that's about it for today's video and everything that I plan to grow. If anyone needs some of my excess seeds, please feel free to contact me, and I will get you some of what I have, because as you can see, some of these envelopes are bursting at the seams, and I have way too much. So when I have too much, I want to share. If I can't give them away to a friend, I'll probably just donate them to the local library where I took some packets of seeds so that I can share. Goodbye for now. We'll see you next time. I have, I believe, 2 more videos to come of things that are going to go in my garden. Have a good one.